There comes a moment in life when you realize that most of the chaos isn't out there. It's inside you, that your greatest enemy is not the world, but your own undisciplined thoughts, your untrained desires, your reactions that rise faster than your reason. In that moment, you don't need more motivation. You don't need more noise. You need mastery, not over others, but over yourself. Because the truth is, you can't control the future. You can't rewrite the past, but you can shape the person you choose to become today. And when you do that, when you begin the quiet work of mastering your mind, your habits, your focus, your values, you don't just change your life. You begin to shape your destiny. So, in this reflection, we'll explore 10 Stoic truths. Simple, timeless, unshakable. Each one a step toward greater control, clarity, and calm. If you're ready to stop being a prisoner of your emotions and start becoming the architect of your own path, this is for you. Let's begin. 1. Embrace silence before you react. In a world that moves too fast, where messages fly in and emotions rise quicker than reason, the greatest strength you can develop is the ability to pause, not to fight back, not to explain, not to defend yourself immediately, but simply to remain silent. This is not weakness. This is self-mastery. The Stoics understood something we often forget. You do not control what happens to you, but you always control how you respond. And that control begins in the space between stimulus and reaction. That sacred space is silence. Epictetus, once a slave who became a great teacher, reminded us, if someone does wrong, it is their problem. My only concern is what I do with that. When someone insults you, silence allows you to observe the ego rising without letting it take over. When life disappoints you, silence helps you avoid impulsive decisions born out of frustration. When tension builds, silence grants you time to breathe, to ask, is this worth my energy? We live in an age where reacting instantly is praised. Comment quickly, post emotionally, defend your opinion, even if it hasn't fully matured. But silence is the wisdom of those who have seen what impulsiveness destroys. It gives you the upper hand, not over others, but over yourself. You stop being a slave to triggers. You stop playing the emotional puppet. You become the observer of your own mind, not its prisoner. That silence is not empty. It's filled with patience, with presence, and with power. The Stoics didn't repress emotions. They understood them. They didn't deny anger. They studied its roots and let it pass like a cloud across the sky. So when you feel offended, hold back. When you feel misunderstood, listen more. When you're ready to explode, return to your breath. Silence is not passive. It's the most active form of restraint. It says, I am not what you say. I am not this moment of chaos. I am something deeper. And when you wait, you can respond from clarity, not confusion, from calm, not chaos, from inner strength, not outer pressure. This doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. It means becoming conscious, aware, deliberate. And that level of presence changes the outcome. What could have turned into a fight turns into understanding. What could have become regret becomes wisdom. What could have spiraled into disaster becomes a pause that saves you. Imagine if every human being paused for just 5 seconds before they reacted. How many wars would have been avoided? How many friendships would have survived? How many moments of clarity would have emerged? The world doesn't need louder voices. It needs calmer minds. And that starts with you. Let silence be your first language. Let reflection be your first instinct. Let peace be your first power. The more you practice this, the more you begin to own your reactions, instead of being owned by them. Even in chaos, you become still. Even in noise, you carry peace. You become the eye of the storm, unshaken, untouched, aware. That's real strength. That's Stoicism in motion. Reflection. So the next time something shakes your heart or challenges your pride, don't rush to react. Give yourself the gift of silence. Ask, what is truly happening right now? Am I being guided by wisdom or by wounds? Will this matter tomorrow? And let your response be born not from noise, but from knowing. Because in that quiet space, you don't just master the moment. You begin to master yourself. And slowly, your destiny follows. 2. Discipline your desires, not the world. You can't control the traffic. You can't control how others behave. You can't control the economy, the weather, or the outcome of every effort you make. And yet, so many of us suffer because we keep trying to. We waste our energy wishing the world would be easier, people would be kinder, and events would align with our expectations. But the Stoics taught a different path, one that doesn't rely on luck or control. They said, don't try to bend the world to your will. Discipline your désir instead. This means changing what you want, not changing what happens. It means learning to want only what is within your power to achieve. It means freeing yourself from the torment of endless craving. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, faced betrayals, wars, and loss. Yet he wrote to himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Every time we desire something outside our control, someone's approval, a specific outcome, constant comfort, we open the door to suffering. But when we bring our desires back within to our effort, our principles, our response, we become unshakable. You don't need the perfect situation to feel peace. You need to stop demanding that peace must come from perfection. You don't need everyone to like you. You need to like the person you become when you act with integrity. You don't need every day to go your way. You need the strength to carry yourself with grace, no matter how the day goes. That's Stoicism. It's not about suppressing dreams or goals. It's about detaching your well-being from things you don't control. It's about wanting what you can influence and letting go of the rest. Discipline your désir, not in a harsh way, but in a loving, liberating way. This is how you find inner freedom, because the truth is, the world will never fully cooperate with your plans. People will change, opportunities will shift, life will test you, but none of that has the power to ruin your peace unless you give it that power. When you discipline your desires, you stop chasing everything outside of you. You simplify your inner world. You become content, not because life is perfect, but because your mind is aligned with reality. You are no longer exhausted by disappointment. You are no longer addicted to outcomes. You are grounded, clear, and calm. And ironically, when you stop craving control, you begin to gain a different kind of influence, a quiet authority, a centered power. Because people are drawn to those who are not shaken by every wave. You become like a mountain, rooted, still, unmoved by the storms around you. Reflection. So, today, ask yourself, what am I demanding from the world that I could let go of? What if I stopped expecting life to follow my script and started writing a new script within myself? What if peace didn't come from getting more, but from needing less? You don't need the whole world to agree with you. You just need your heart to agree with your actions. That's the path to self-mastery. And that's the beginning of mastering your destiny. 3. Turn obstacles into inner growth. Most people run from problems. They complain, avoid, or try to erase every difficulty from their path. But the Stoics, they welcomed obstacles, not because they enjoyed pain, but because they saw something deeper. They saw every challenge as a hidden teacher, every block as a doorway inward, Every hardship has fuel for transformation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This isn't just poetic. It's a radical shift in how we approach life. When something difficult appears, a failure, a breakup, a rejection, an illness, the average mind says, "Why me?" But the Stoic mind asks, "What can this teach me?" The obstacle is not just a burden. It's a mirror reflecting your attachments, your fears, your patterns. It reveals where you're fragile and offers a chance to grow stronger. Do you get rejected? Good. Now you can learn resilience and build worth that doesn't depend on approval. Did your plans collapse? Good. Now you can practice flexibility and discover new paths you never considered. Did someone betray you? Good. Now you can refine your boundaries and rise with deeper wisdom about trust. This mindset doesn't deny pain. It uses pain, not to become bitter, but to become better. Seneca, another great Stoic, said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Imagine a tree that never faced wind. Its roots would stay shallow. Its growth would be weak. But the tree that faces storms, its roots dig deep. Its core becomes unshakable. That's what obstacles do when met with courage. They deepen your roots. They build your inner core. Too often, we ask life to be easier. But the Stoic path invites a better question. How can I become stronger? Because you cannot control the weight life puts on your shoulders, but you can train the muscles that carry it. You can develop patience when things move slowly. You can grow humility when your ego is bruised. You can build discipline when comfort disappears. And over time, you begin to welcome pressure. Not because it's pleasant, but because it shapes you. You don't run from the obstacle. You study it. You step into it. And you say, "This is not happening to me. It's happening for me." You turn setbacks into steps. You turn adversity into access. Access to parts of you that only awaken under pressure. Reflection. So, ask yourself, what is life trying to teach me through this hardship? What strength is being called forth that I didn't know I had? What version of me can emerge if I stop resisting and start growing? When you walk the Stoic path, you don't pray for comfort. You train for clarity. You don't beg for ease. You cultivate endurance. And eventually, you stop fearing problems because you've seen what they can awaken within you. The obstacle no longer breaks you. It builds you. It becomes the way. 4. Practice voluntary discomfort. Comfort is seductive. It promises peace, but often delivers weakness. In a world where almost everything is designed to be convenient, food delivered instantly, emotions numbed by distraction, opinions confirmed without question, the Stoics offer a surprising practice. Seek discomfort voluntarily, intentionally. Why? Because the more you avoid discomfort, the more fragile you become. But the more you embrace it on your own terms, the stronger and freer you grow. Seneca, one of the richest men in Rome, often slept on the floor and wore rough clothing, not because he had to, but because he chose to. He wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself, 'Is this the condition I feared?'" He was training his mind to not be enslaved by comfort, to know that if life ever took everything away, he would still endure. Because true power is not in how much luxury you can gather. It's in how little you actually need. Voluntary discomfort is not self-punishment. It's self-liberation. It's skipping a meal. To realize hunger is not an emergency. It's walking instead of driving. To see how strong your legs still are. It's spending time alone without distractions. To learn you are enough, even in silence. It's stepping out of the warm illusion of ease and into the cold truth of strength. The Stoics knew that hardship will come to all, whether we invite it or not. So better to be prepared. Better to face small struggles now than be destroyed by big ones later. You practice discomfort to sharpen your mind, to harden your spirit, to remind yourself that you are not made of glass. When you train yourself to embrace what others avoid, you unlock a deep well of courage inside you. The cold shower that toughens your resolve, the early morning that strengthens your will, the honest conversation that breaks the habit of pleasing others. And the magic is once you stop needing comfort, you stop fearing loss. You stop being manipulated by convenience. You begin to act from principle, not pressure. Your happiness becomes portable. Your peace becomes independent. You learn to say, I am not afraid of discomfort. I've met it before. I train with it. And from that training comes quiet confidence. Not the kind that boasts, but the kind that endures. Reflection. So reflect for a moment. What discomfort have you been avoiding? What small challenge could you face? That would strengthen your discipline, your resilience, your clarity. This week, try something difficult. Not because you must, but because you choose to. Fast for a day. Take a cold shower. Wake before dawn. Sit with your thoughts. No distractions. Let discomfort become your teacher. Because when you seek discomfort, you don't just prepare for life, you begin to master it. And slowly, you realize comfort is nice, but freedom is better. 5. Detach from outcomes, focus on effort. We live in a results-obsessed world. We chase achievement, praise, perfection. We measure our worth by outcomes, by how much we win, how far we go, how fast we rise. But the Stoics taught something far more sustainable and far more powerful. Detach from outcomes. Focus on effort. Because while outcomes lie beyond our control, effort lives within us. Epictetus put it simply, you may not control events, but you can control how you meet them. You can't control whether your project will succeed. You can't control how someone will respond to your love. You can't control whether your hard work will be recognized by others. But you can control the intention behind your actions. You can choose to give your best, regardless of applause. You can live with honor, whether the world rewards you or not. This is not resignation. This is liberation. You are no longer a slave to results. You become an agent of principle. You write because it's true to your soul, not because it goes viral. You train your body because it's your temple, not for external validation. You speak with kindness because it reflects your values, not because others deserve it. The Stoics reminded us, to attach your peace to results is to walk a dangerous road, because results are fragile. They depend on timing, on chance, on the whims of the world. But when you shift your focus inward to the clarity of your intention, the honesty of your labor, the discipline of your practice, you begin to experience something rare. Peace in the middle of uncertainty. Joy even when the prize doesn't come. Strength not tied to success, but born from the way you carry yourself. This is why Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, still wrote in his journal every night, not about his victories, but about his discipline, his inner conduct, his daily effort to remain just and calm, because he knew, at the end of the day, the only true victory is self-mastery. So instead of asking, did I win? Ask, did I stay true to myself? Instead of chasing approval, ask, was I intentional? Instead of fearing failure, ask, was I fully present in my effort? The outcome will come or not. Let it. You are responsible for the work, the ethic, the sincerity. Let that be enough. Reflection. Take a breath. Think about the goals that make you anxious. Are they truly yours, or Are they rooted in the need to be seen, accepted, validated? What if, just for today, you gave your best without needing recognition? What if you put your full heart into something and allowed the results to be whatever they are? That is the Stoic path. To do what's right, even if no one claps. To love your work, even if it's never rewarded. To walk your values, even if the world walks away. In that space, you find peace. Because peace is not found in the prize. It's found in the process. Detach from outcomes. Return to effort. Anchor yourself in what you can control. And you'll discover you may not win every race, but you'll never lose yourself again. 6. Use death as a daily motivator. Most people avoid thinking about death. They treat it like a distant shadow, something far away, something morbid. But to the Stoics, death wasn't something to fear. It was something to remember every single day. Memento mori. Remember, you will die. Not as a warning, but as a reminder of what truly matters. Because once you confront death, not in panic, but in presence, life becomes sharper. Moments become sacred. Trivial worries dissolve. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." This was not a dark thought. It was light, illuminating what deserves your time, your energy, your heart. When you remember that your days are limited, you stop wasting them. You stop holding grudges. You stop waiting for the right time. You stop living on autopilot. You begin to live on purpose. Death is not the enemy. It is the mirror that shows you how precious now truly is. Think about it. If today was your last, would you still scroll endlessly? Would you still argue over small things? Would you still chase approval from people who barely know your heart? Or would you slow down? Speak more truth? Hold someone's hand just a little longer? Create something that outlives you? This is what the Stoics did. They meditated on death, not to become sad, but to become awake. Senetarod. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. So don't waste it. Use death, not as a threat, but as a compass. Let it guide your choices. Let it silence your overthinking. Let it cut through the noise and bring you home to what matters. You don't know how many mornings you have left, how many smiles, sunrises, deep conversations. So stop acting like life is infinite. It's not, and that's what makes it beautiful. Knowing you will die doesn't diminish life, it amplifies it. You love harder, you forgive quicker, you speak more honestly. You begin. You stop delaying your art. You stop postponing your healing. You stop treating tomorrow as a guarantee. And slowly, you discover death is not the opposite of life. It is what frames it. Without death, there's no urgency, no clarity, no reason to make this moment count. So keep a reminder near you, a coin, a phrase, a calendar that shows the passing weeks. Let death stand beside you, not behind you. Let it walk with you, silently guiding you to a fuller life. Reflection. So ask yourself, if this were your last year, what would you stop tolerating? What would you finally begin? What would you say if you had the courage to speak from your soul? Memento mori isn't about dying. It's about truly living. It's about looking death in the eye and saying, "You may come for me one day, but not today. Today, I will live deliberately. Today, I will honor my breath, my time, my purpose." Let this awareness be your motivator. Let it strip away the superficial. Let it focus you like a flame burning away distraction. Because when you remember death daily, you stop fearing life and you start embracing it completely. 7. Control the inner narrative. Life doesn't just happen outside of you. It also happens within you, in the quiet stories you tell yourself. And most people never question those stories. They assume that what they think is true. They believe every anxious thought, every fearful prediction, every internal criticism as if it were law. But the Stoics knew the truth. It's not the event that disturbs you, it's your judgment of the event. Epictetus said, "Men are not disturbed by things, but by the views which they take of things." The situation isn't the enemy. Your interpretation is. So when something bad happens, you lose your job, someone leaves you, a plan falls apart, stop and ask, what story am I telling myself? Is it the story of, I'm a failure? I'll never recover? This always happens to me. Or could it be, this is a test I can learn from? This loss is redirection. I've survived worse. Your inner narrative is like the lens through which you see the world. If it's cracked with negativity, fear, and blame, everything you look at becomes distorted. But when that lens is polished with awareness, you begin to see clearly. The Stoics practiced this daily. They reviewed their thoughts. They rewrote their reactions. They replaced chaos with clarity. Not by changing the world, but by editing the story in their own minds. Because every moment you're telling yourself something, and that something becomes your reality. If your mind says, you're not enough, you'll shrink even when opportunities appear. If your mind says, you always get hurt, you'll sabotage intimacy, even with people who love you. But if your mind says you can respond with wisdom, then no matter what happens, you stay in your power. This doesn't mean lying to yourself. It means choosing thoughts that are useful, honest, and empowering. It means shifting from, why is this happening to me? To, what can I do with this? It means moving from, this is unfair, to, this is training. You become the author, not the victim of your inner world. And once that changes, everything changes. Reflection. So take a moment. Ask yourself, what inner stories am I carrying today? Are they building me or breaking me? Are they echoes of past wounds or blueprints for a wiser life? What if you stopped feeding the thoughts that drain you? What if you started writing a new chapter? One where you are grounded, capable, calm. You don't have to believe every thought. You can challenge them, redirect them, replace them. This is not self-deception. It's self-leadership. Your mind is not a cage. It's a canvas. Paint it with truth. Shape it with intention. Guide it with reason. Because once you control your inner narrative, the world outside loses its power to control you. You return to your center, and you walk through life, not as a servant of emotion, but as a master of meaning. 8. Build a fortress of daily habits. A single good choice can change your day, but a system of good choices can change your life. The Stoics believe that greatness isn't built in moments of inspiration. It's built in structure, in quiet routines, in deliberate repetition. You don't become resilient by accident. You don't become calm just by hoping. You become those things when your daily actions are shaped with intention. Seneca said, "We become brave by doing brave things, not thinking, doing." That's why habits matter. They're not just productivity tricks. They're your foundation, your inner fortress. Because when life gets chaotic, you fall to the level of your systems, not your goals, not your motivation, but your habits. What do you do when you wake up? What's your mental diet before the world floods in? Do you move your body? Do you check in with your mind? These small decisions, repeated daily, become your armor. You cannot control the world outside, but you can build routines that protect your clarity within. That's Stoicism in practice. You train your mind before it gets hijacked by the news. You return to your breath before the stress builds. You write your thoughts before they become heavy emotions. Simple acts, done consistently. It doesn't have to be extreme. 10 minutes of reflection, a short walk in silence, writing down 3 things you're grateful for, sitting with your thoughts without distraction. These aren't trends, they're anchors, and the more you repeat them, the stronger they become, until your habits start carrying you when you can't carry yourself. When you're tired, the habit shows up. When you're angry, the ritual grounds you. When you're lost, the structure reminds you where your peace lives. The Stoics didn't hope to be strong during crisis. They trained for it. And they did that by creating daily rhythms of self-discipline, reflection, physical care, and moral alignment. You can do the same, but it starts with intention, and it grows with repetition. One day, one decision, one small act, again and again. Reflection. So, ask yourself, what daily habits are shaping my future, whether I realize it or not? Are they making me stronger or more reactive? Are they building clarity or cluttering my mind? What if, starting today, you treated your habits like sacred rituals? Not just things to check off, but pillars that support your deepest values? Imagine waking up with a structure that protects your peace. Imagine moving through your day, anchored in rhythm, not rushing, not chasing. This is the fortress you build, brick by brick, action by action, not to keep the world out, but to keep your inner self strong, no matter what the world brings in, because you can't control every storm. But you can build habits that hold you steady through it all. 9. Seek wisdom, not validation. Most people live their lives in performance mode, smiling for approval, speaking to impress, acting not from truth, but from the desire to be seen, liked, accepted. But the Stoics saw through this. They asked, why chase validation from people who don't even know your soul? Why sacrifice your peace for applause that fades the moment you turn your back? Epictetus wrote, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid, because true growth isn't always visible. True progress doesn't always come with praise, and true wisdom rarely shouts. It whispers quietly inside you. When you chase validation, your life becomes a mirror, always reflecting others, never anchored in who you are. But when you chase wisdom, your life becomes a compass, steady, centered, self-led. You no longer act for approval. You act from principle. You no longer speak to be admired. You speak because what you say matters, even if no one claps. This is freedom. The Stoic path is not about being liked. It's about being aligned with virtue, with reason, with what your conscience knows to be right. Wisdom is not loud. It doesn't need to be, because it doesn't seek permission to exist. Look around. How many people pretend to be happy just to keep up appearances? How many hide behind curated lives and borrowed beliefs? But the Stoics teach us, what matters is not the mask, but the mind behind it. Not the noise, but the knowledge that guides your life. When you seek wisdom, you stop performing. You start listening. You start learning not to look smart, but to be sincere. You start reading, not to show off quotes, but to wrestle with truth. You ask questions, not to win arguments, but to understand. This shift is subtle, but radical. Because once you stop needing others to approve your journey, you finally begin to walk your true path. Even if it's unpopular, even if it's lonely at times, even if others don't get it, you are not here to entertain the world. You are here to become wise. And wisdom is enough. Reflection. So ask yourself, whose approval am I still chasing? What would I do differently if I no longer needed to be liked? What truths would I speak if I wasn't afraid to be misunderstood. When you seek validation, you trade your soul for surface. But when you seek wisdom, you come back to your center. It's not glamorous. It won't always be celebrated, but it will be real, and it will be yours. You don't need a crowd to walk in truth. You need courage, clarity, conviction. And slowly, as wisdom grows, you'll find peace. Not in being praised, but in knowing that your life reflects your deepest values. Let others chase applause. You chase understanding. Let them seek to be seen. You seek to see clearly, because in the end, it's not the loudest that lasts. It's the wisest. 10. Align actions with your deepest values. At the end of the day, what truly matters is not how much you've done. It's how deeply your actions reflect who you are. You can be busy and still feel empty. You can be successful and still feel lost. You can check every box society gave you and still wonder why your soul feels distant. The Stoics understood this well. They didn't measure a life by fame, wealth, or applause. They measured it by alignment. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor with ultimate power, still reminded himself every morning, waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. To the Stoics, virtue, not outcome, was the ultimate aim. To live with courage, to act with justice, to speak with wisdom, to respond with temperance. This wasn't just philosophy. It was a compass. Because when your actions don't align with your values, you feel it. That quiet discomfort, that subtle guilt, that tension in your chest when you say yes to something your soul wants to say no to. But when your actions are anchored in your values, something shifts. You begin to move differently. You walk lighter. You speak more clearly. You sleep more peacefully. Even if the world misunderstands you, you understand yourself. Even if no one applauds, you approve of your own choices. This is the essence of Stoic freedom. You are no longer guided by impulse, fear, or social pressure. You are guided by principle. It's not easy. Sometimes it means walking away from the popular path. Sometimes it means disappointing people who expect you to fit a role. Sometimes it means slowing down when everyone else is speeding up. But that's the cost of living in truth. And the reward is inner peace. So, what are your deepest values? Not the ones printed on posters, the ones that speak from your core. Maybe it's honesty. Maybe it's discipline. Maybe it's compassion, responsibility, freedom, or faith. Whatever they are, write them down and ask yourself daily, did I live these values today? Did my choices reflect what I claim to believe? Because if not, then what is all the doing for? Reflection. So pause and breathe. Ask yourself, when was the last time I chose alignment over approval? When was the last time I said no to something because it didn't match my truth? When was the last time I acted, not out of fear, but out of integrity? You're not here to live someone else's idea of a good life. You're here to build your own, rooted in values, guided by virtue, unshaken by noise. Because when your actions match your deepest self, you stop feeling torn. You stop second-guessing. You start trusting. And from that trust comes quiet power, the kind of power the Stoics lived by. The kind of power that doesn't need a crown because it already wears a conscience. So let this be your final reminder. Success is hollow without alignment. Peace is impossible without integrity. And mastery of self and of destiny begins the moment you decide, I will no longer betray who I am for what the world wants me to be. You've just walked through 10 Stoic principles, not to impress, but to invite you into a life that is quieter but deeper. slower but stronger, less reactive and far more intentional. Self-mastery is not about perfection. It's about remembering, again and again, what truly matters and returning to it with each breath, each choice, each day. You don't have to fix everything overnight. You just need to begin. And if this message speaks to something deep within you, if you're ready to build a calmer mind and a more deliberate life, then make sure to subscribe so you don't walk this journey alone. There are more reflections coming, more reminders, more moments of stillness to return you to your center. Until then, hold these principles close, not as information, but as daily practice, because the person you're becoming is shaped not by what you say, but by what you do next.